If you ask me what is the best Ayanokoji feat in the entire series, the answer will be his strategy to fight against Ryuen. Not the Kushida expulsion, not the love letter, but the downfall of Ryuen. The antagonist, the mind games, the build-up, and the conclusion. Everything is excellent. The battles against Ryuen is the first big arc that was started from Ryuen introduction in Volume 2 until the final conclusion in Volume 7.5. Even after the end of the second year, there is still no volume that could be compared against this arc. Let's remind ourselves how magnificent this arc was. The existence of Ryuen is the one that moves the story. Starting from the second volume, we could see his fighting style by planning a trap to get Pseudo expelled. He plays dirty and doesn't hesitate to use violence. He also treated his classmates like disposable pawns. According to Ibuki, Ryuen quickly established his position as the leader since the beginning of school. A lot of students try to oppose Ryuen, but Ryuen shuts them down using his fist. Even the physically superior students like Albert end up submitting to him. There are two reasons why Ryuen is an amazing and entertaining antagonist. First, he has the boldness to act and talk. Second, he is a delinquent with an out-of-the-box mindset. He refuses to play like the regular student and solely focus on winning no matter what method he needs to use. His first action after the midterm exam is to try to expel Pseudo. It never stated why in the novel, but in the anime he said that he wanted to see how the school would react when someone got expelled. His words clearly explain that he is already curious about how the school system works, and he chose to experiment with it. We know that his plan failed, but he got something more valuable, which is the existence of Horikita, who he thought quite entertaining for him. He said that he will spend some time to play with her, which could indicate that Ryuen was already prepared for class battle even since that time. Even since the beginning, Ryuen had already introduced himself as a smart and ruthless villain. In the first special exam, we once again showed with Ryuen an usual plan, which is his 0-point strategy. He took advantage of the boundary of rules and used it to gain another type of victory, which is a bonus point from guessing the leaders and private point contract. In ANHS, you could buy everything as long as you have enough points. Ryuen understood it clearly, and he chose to be greedy to gain both of them. He would have been succeeded if only Ayanokoji hadn't taken any action. Ayanokoji, who was forced to bring Class D to victory, learned a lot about Ryuen's personality and his way of thinking. Ryuen has already become the sole ruler of Class C without anyone who could defy his decision, but that also means he cannot trust anyone and cannot be trusted at the same time. Ayanokoji successfully used this information to guess that Ryuen was still hiding on the island and also the leader of Class C, resulting in Class C getting 0 points at the end. This exam becomes the starting point of the fight between Ayanokoji and Ryuen. Ryuen, who feels dissatisfied with the result, chose to focus on targeting Class D, while Ayanokoji, who realizes the fight against Ryuen is inevitable, chose to start collecting the tools for the battle. Because they were assigned to different groups, Ayanokoji and Ryuen didn't have any real interaction in this exam. Ayanokoji still playing in the background to avoid attention while Ryuen focused on Horikita, who he thought was responsible for the island exam result. None of them seriously tried to attack each other, but both of them did a very similar thing, which is to gain an ally and spy. Ryuen managed to get Kushida to work with him, or maybe it's more appropriate to say that Kushida joined hands with Ryuen for her own benefit to expel Horikita from school. On the other side, Ayanokoji managed to set the stage for Manabe to bully Kei. He managed to get Kei to work for him, and he also got the record of Manabe that he could use to exploit her later. It's actually sheer luck that Manabe was the classmate of Ryuen. Zodiac exam ended with Ryuen overwhelming victory because he managed to discover the VIP pattern. This unusual outcome led Ayanokoji to suspect Kushida of betraying the class and working with Ryuen to expel Horikita. The sport festival might be the most important event and also the turning point for the mind battle between Ayanokoji and Ryuen. Ryuen still thinks that Horikita is the one who is responsible for Class D success, so he chose to target her with the intention to break her. By using Kushida, he managed to get the Class D participation table and set a trap for Horikita using Kinoshita as the victim. Ryuen believes that by destroying Horikita, Class D will be destroyed by itself. However, Ayanokoji did something unexpected, which is exposing himself as the true mastermind. Ayanokoji used Manabe to get the record of Ryuen's plan, which caused Ryuen blackmail to be useless. Ryuen got that record when Horikita was right in front of him, so there is no way she could be the one responsible for that. So far, Ayanokoji has always used Horikita as the cover for all his actions, but by sending that record, he clearly told Ryuen that Horikita is just a puppet. There is a shadow ruler behind her. Ayanokoji will immediately become the prime suspect because he is always close with Horikita, close enough to control and manipulate her. However, Ayanokoji already prepared for that possibility, and that's why he chose to attract attention by using Manabu in the relay race. From Ryuen perspective, the shadow ruler must be someone who acts behind the scenes while using the other as his pawn to avoid attention. However, Ayanokoji action at the end of the sports festival contradicts that image. Ayanokoji actions create a little doubt inside Ryuen about whether Ayanokoji is the real mastermind or just another puppet. However, he understands one thing: they are just dancing on the mastermind hand all this time, and always will be as long as Ryuen doesn't discover the mastermind identity. For a note, you might wonder why Ayanokoji didn't prevent Ryuen's plan even though he knew about it since the beginning. There are a few reasons, but the biggest reason is for Horikita to experience defeat and realize her weakness. After all, people will never grow if they only know the taste of victory. Now that Ryuen already knows Horikita is not the true mastermind, he switches his target to find the brain behind Class D, which he calls X. Ryuen starts his searching by discovering the traitor inside his class who leaked the record to X, where he easily accuses Manabe as the culprit. From Manabe, Ryuen managed to get X's number and the fact that X has a tie with K. After that, he started to approach his targets of suspects, such as Ayanokoji, Yukimura, and Konji. Of course, Ryuen himself never believed he could find X that easily. He took his time to play with Class D, wanting to see what kind of person X is and analyze his way of thinking. After the paper shuffle, Ryuen took a conclusion that X is a person who has a similar way of thinking as him. Someone cruel who didn't care about the others' well-being but didn't want to stand at the front line. It's already too late when Ryuen realizes that Ayanokoji is the one who manipulated him to think that way. Ryuen thinks that he was able to predict X's movement, but X already predicted his prediction. Ayanokoji always knew that Ryuen would come to find him, and the best way to find him is by using K and forcing her to speak. However, he let Ryuen do what he wanted. Just like an adult looking at children playing with their toy, he let them play freely because he knew he could take them down whenever he wanted. One thing that makes Ryuen the best antagonist in this series is the fact that he didn't give up so easily. When he realized he was just dancing on the palm of Ayanokoji, he didn't just accept defeat and act like a good kid. When Ayanokoji came to save K and reveal himself as X, Ryuen was pissed. He believes that X will not do something such as revealing himself, but Ayanokoji makes it clear that all Ryuen understanding was already manipulated by him. However, despite the gap in their ability, Ryuen didn't feel any fear. Ryuen claimed himself as abnormal. He feels pleasure when the enemy succumbs, especially if he beats them using violence. By Ryuen's understanding, violence is the only language that could be understood by any living being, so he rules using it. Even if the enemy is physically superior, Ryuen doesn't bow down and keep fighting. When the enemy realizes Ryuen will not go down no matter how many times he is beaten, the feeling of fear will eventually rise, and Ryuen is the master of controlling it. And that's how Ryuen was able to win even against a stronger enemy. However, his method doesn't work on Ayanokoji. No matter how many times he got punched, that feeling of fear never appeared in Ayanokoji. Ryuen thought he could manipulate Ayanokoji's fear, but unfortunately, Ayanokoji doesn't have any heart to manipulate. Ayanokoji understood it clearly. He understands Ryuen's nature and feelings. If he didn't take care of Ryuen would always become a thorn that disturbed his peaceful life. And that's why he chose to reveal himself and take care of Ryuen with the only language that he could understand: violence. Ayanokoji managed to put the feeling of fear inside Ryuen and also teach him that even in his area of expertise, Ayanokoji is still way superior to him. And that's how Ryuen was overthrown from his throne. This arc is simply the best because it has a very satisfying conclusion. And like Nagumo, who had been hyped for way longer than Ryuen but ended up just stepping down quickly, or Yagami expulsion that felt very sudden, Ryuen's final act had been set up carefully in each volume. His character and strategy were developed very carefully, and that's something that we rarely see after Ryuen arc was over. Let's just hope the third year arc will give us even more amazing stories like this one.